does it mean? We're here actually celebrating. I love that word because if you can think of moments in your life when you're like, ah, it's that glitter moment, right? And you go, wait a minute, it's right now, right now. We can make it now when you've made it. We've made it. This moment is so beautiful that we're here together, going, yay, glitter, bomb, magic, bing bong.
Yeah, it's about this, right? Like it's
Yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah.
These moments of connection. So I want to dial it back a little bit to your experience with My Little Pony and whether or not you had any experience with it in your life prior to having become involved in the franchise in your various ways. Was it a part of your childhood at all? Were you forced to watch it by siblings? Did you secretly watch it yourselves? Did you openly watch it? What is your background with Pony? And I know, Ellie, you were on some of the earlier gens, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no. The only reason I am here is because of Tabitha St. Germain.
Ah, yes.
Because I didn't know My Little Pony. I was usually locked in a basement and beaten as a kid, but no, I didn't know the show. I didn't know anything, and I used to cat sit when she would go to conventions, and she would come home with this, suitcases filled with T-shirts and artwork and plushies and stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? This is awesome. What is it? She says, "It's My Little Pony." And I went, I've got to be on that show. I've got to be on that show. I love all this stuff. What is it? What is it? I looked it up and I was in Vancouver and it was recorded in Vancouver. The 10 years it was the last generation. And I'm from Toronto, so I would never have an opportunity to ever audition for this show. But I was in Vancouver and I said, I'm making it happen. I'm manifesting this. I'm going to be on My Little Pony, My Little Pony, My Little. And sure enough, I got an audition from Ralph in Vancouver. And long story short, I got cast in to change a changeling first. I played those changelings, but then I got cast as Mist Main, and the rest is history. And then I remember when I went to my first convention, I was like, I have found my people. I have found. I literally went. I'm in heaven. Oh my God, this is my life, and I'm never leaving it ever, ever.
Well, we're very happy to have you.
Out.
Brian.
I was just in love with that answer. What was the question again?
Right? We could just let Ellie take all of them. Experience with Pony prior to working on Pony.
I mean, all the actors in Vancouver were talking about it, right? Because we went, 9 seasons, a mini series of Equestria Girls, 4 movies, a giant theatrical release. Like we did so much in Vancouver, right? So everyone was talking about it. And so whenever I would audition for the show, I'd get excited, right? Because it was one of the most long-standing projects in Vancouver for a really long time. And I say this at every con that I go to. The reason why I'm on My Little Pony is because all of you kept it going for like 10, 12, 15 years or however long it was. Still, right? And so like it's still going, right? We got Gen 5 now. And so like booking the role of Timber really kind of helped solidify me in a sense in the Vancouver community, which I'm really grateful for the fandom for that, right? But I remember going, I got the role of Timbers Bruce, and I'm gonna play a pony. And I watched Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, which was the movie prior to Legend of Everfree, just for research, right? And it was really well done. And I went, but they're not ponies. Well, I'm playing a human. I'm not playing a pony. Okay, like I had no idea. I had no idea until I watched the movie prior to the one that we worked on. So that's more or less my experience.
Well, I definitely watched some, I don't know, early generations of My Little Pony. Me and my sister used to watch it. We had the little toys and used to play with My Little Ponies. And so it was just always there as like this, imaginative space. And like, I remember having. I swear, I had a little. We called her Cascade. I don't know if we just made up that name or if that was like her actual name. But this little pony that I swear looked like similar colors to Misty. That was like our favorite one. Me and my sister's favorite one. And so like being able to be in My Little Pony and play the unicorn of my dreams is like
And
an
also,
honor.
he had just won a big award called the
Yeah.
ACTRA Awards. They are kind of like the equivalents of not a Tony. What would it be in the States? An
SAG.
Emmy? Would it be an Emmy? The equivalent
Yeah,
kind
how
of
about a
an
huge round
Emmy
of applause
for
for
her
that, folks?
yeah for her character in the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I love Misty, and yeah, so I've always loved My Little Pony, and yeah, me and my sister used to play like epic days and days long games, dramas, with our toys. So I wish I had those toys now. Probably worth something now. That they're like
You can get
vintage.
them in the vendor hall.
You can.
That's true.
There was
Yeah, 'cause
actually the
we
question.
don't find it in the museum.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
There was the question there actually. Do you have a pony collection?
Not
Ellie
not
does.
still.
Yes, I do.
Tom, I want to get you to answer that question, but I do want to pivot
Okay.
off that momentarily.
Wait.
unless-
First,
What's up?
I just want you to know that my parents are older, and everything's fine. There are certain calls I have to take, which is why I keep running off the stage. So it's not that like the president's calling me, which would be super cool. But no, everything's good. There's
I
just a
thought it was
couple.
a bathroom
No.
break, is what I thought, because that's
No,
what I
no.
need to do.
My mom's coming to move in with me, so that's new.
We
I
love
mean,
your
that we knew that was
mom.
happening.
applaud. It's okay. It's encouraged.
Well, yeah, I would second that and say this here right now because yeah, coming out of theater, I was saying out before that like you kind of get the audience reaction like right away, and you get to feel the people right away. And when you're working in television or film, it's like you just do it and send it out, and you get to feel that energy come back at you. And so this year right now is like very mind blowing and meaningful. Just all the love, and to know that the little part that I play in it means something to people, and that's like huge. So I'd say this moment right now.
Judging by the line in the autograph, it means a lot to a lot of people.
I feel the same way, especially conventions, like especially like little 6-year-old girls who are super excited. Like kids coming up are great. The best one I had though was in Calgary, which I know I've talked about before. So if you've suffered through the story, I apologize. But I had this one kid come up and talk to me, and it was just going on, and I could take a lot of punishment. I'm Catholic, but it was still going on, and it was just getting to the point where you were about to break it. You're like, "Oh, thanks for coming so much. It's we're done here," kind of thing. And I didn't. I powered through, and I noticed that the kid was probably like 16, 17, and his mom was watching me. So he gets done, and he's done talking, and he leaves. And his mom comes up, and she says, "I would just want you to know, son's autistic, and he hasn't spoken, but he spoke to you for half an hour." And that killed me every time. Like, I'm so glad that I got to be part of that. Like, the silly, my little, stories I write about all the ponies turning people reacts to someone that way, that I get to do that for someone. I mean, that's the best part.
Well said.
So, Bahir, you mentioned sort of the shift between live theatrical performances versus recording in a studio. We've got a similar question here, talking more about sort of genre. How was it transitioning from a serious show like Handmaid's Tale to a bubbly children's show like MLP?
Well, I do also. I write some comedy shows, some live comedy shows as well. So I don't only do the serious stuff. But it was certainly a huge relief. It was fun. It balances things out from being in such a heavy world to get to be in such a delightful world. Although, Misty has went through her own struggles as well, and also had her own encounters with the dark side in the on the journey. But yeah, I will also shout out Allison Court, who is the voice director that we worked with on the show, and she's just amazing and incredible, and is like so fun to work with, uh, and just such a expert. So she really has a huge role shaping like everything, all the performances and what you guys experience.
And if I might, just because I do a bunch of TV and a bunch of theater as well, being actors, like it's funny because in the fandom we're voice actors, but we're the expectation is that you can do all genres of whether it's voice acting, film acting, television acting, live acting, comedy, and then you've got genres of voice acting on top of that, and we're expected as creative uh, vocal people, even when we're on television, we're using our voice as well. But we're constantly playing villains, heroes, sidekicks, and others. That's what makes up story. That's what we do. So, when it comes to playing something so arch and villainous and nasty and weird, and then something so loving, kind, and generous, it's like our world. And every story just about is that, the good, loving eventually overcomes when they go through any kind of journeys. And I think as artists, everybody here, even comic stuff, you've got to go through that journey of stories. You've got to be able to play and voice every genre villain, hero, sidekick, and others, just so that the whole, people can have faith and be inspired and ignited. If we only played the good, kind, easy, joyful ones, I don't think we'd be as well rounded as human beings or understand the stories well enough. That's in my 2 cents, but I think it helps, right?
Yeah.
So, Bahir, speaking of Misty, I got it right that time. Mystery? No, there. Misty. Were you expecting your character to get that much love from everyone? That's part A of the question. And the other is, what was your favorite scene for Misty and why?
Okay. Well, was I expecting that much love? No, I would say it was not something I was expecting. I mean, I knew when I saw her drawing, I knew that she was so cute. And people will probably be into that, but no, it's just been a wonderful surprise how people have received her. Um, Favorite scene. Um, there was a scene that's kind of silly of Misty kind of talking to like Taffy Tail, like a stuffed animal, kind of talking to herself, and that was a really fun kind of scene to play. I mean, it's hard for me to remember them all because also in the two shows, she has a lot of fun. Bumbling moments that are very fun to play. Also, a couple of heroic moments. I don't know if everyone's caught up. I don't want to
Spoiler alert!
I
Yeah.
don't want to spoil anything. Which what? Which series is
There's the
for the
YouTube series and
spoiler or? Oh well, I just don't know where
no,
everyone's
she doesn't know
at,
what's been shown
Yeah.
yet.
Everyone's
Yeah.
finished Gen 4, right?
I mean,
Lovely.
so
You can drop me in it if you want to.
no,
It's
no.
fine.
I don't know. Some people are not fully caught up, so I don't know. But they're all really fun.
I made a foolish error earlier and inadvertently revealed that I was not all caught up.
Oh.
Not going to be living
Oh.
that one down anytime soon. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bless you. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, I should actually mention. Again, huge round of applause, please, for Jessie for handing out the cards. For folks who joined us a little bit late, if you have questions or even follow-up questions at this point for any of our wonderful guests, just put your hand in the air. You will get a golf pencil and a card, scribble down your question, and it will be brought to me, and I will see if I can work it into the flow of our Q&A. Now, this is one I like. And it's confined to MLP projects, but I do want to open it up actually to all of the projects because I think it's quite applicable more broadly. What was the biggest struggle or hurdle that you had to overcome while working on MLP or other projects in your life?
Convincing my parents cartooning was a career. That was a big one. My dad was always okay with it. My mom, it was like saying you're going into the NBA. Like there's always people who do it, but it's really hard to be one of those people. So like I said, she's not my biggest fan, but it was a struggle because we had a deal that if I got good grades, I could go wherever I wanted to college. So I was a Phi Beta Kappa National Merit Scholar, all that crap. And then I said, oh, I'm going to art school. There's no scholarships, so I need some money. And I went to the Kubert School. Past that, it's getting another job. Like it's staying employed. Like you're never, like we were talking about when you never make it. My job's not drawing. My job's staying employed. I have to keep lining more stuff up.
Yeah. My greatest hurdle was realizing that I'm enough. As a very young child, I was labeled retarded. That's the word they used. And they didn't know at the time that autism, ADHD, ADD, those weren't things, but I was put on Ritalin. I was very bullied. I was very, I struggled, and I didn't think that I was enough, but I did have my imagination. We talked about that, and we talked about the world that I lived in. And then in grade two, they wanted me to repeat kindergarten because I wasn't okay. And then, but my parents convinced them no. And in grade two, they wanted to skip me forward 2 grades. And in grade six, they wanted to skip me forward 2 grades. And I have a doctorate, and I have, of course, it's like, and I had 3 scholarships to go to university. And of course, I went to theater school. Uh, but you realize no one defines you but you. And when you realize that you are perfect just the way you are, and you have so much to offer and so much to give, and nobody can define you, and what other people say about you is none of your business. What you say about you is your business, and you are beautiful and perfect and successful and wonderful.
Can I just say, you told that to me about a year ago, and I remind myself of that like at least twice a week.
I know. Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
Because
Like,
we
it's-
forget, we think we're
yeah.
not good enough. We think we're not okay.
Well, and on that note, I guess for me, it was like, so when I started out my career as Brian Doe, that was the name that I used professionally for a really long time, and I recently adopted my mother's maiden name into my professional name, so now I'm going by Brian Dotrois. And the moment I slated for the first time, and for those of you who don't know, a slate is basically in a voice audition. Basically, you say your name and any other information that they may ask for, either before or after your audition MP3. And I said Brian Dotrois for the first time in an audition for Polly Pocket, where I got to work with Ishi Riddell, the show director of Equestria Girls again. And I felt so whole when I said it, because I'm both Chinese and English. I'm a bunch of things, ethnicity-wise. And to be able to honor every part of me and every part of me and my family's legacy and where I'm from really helped me further accept who I was, because that was a really big challenge for me too. That was a huge challenge. So
The biggest struggle? Oh, there are many, many, many struggles. Just
I feel that.
yeah,
I
I
feel
think
that.
it's.
A lot of couple of weeks.
I mean, I think yeah, it's many of the things have been said. It's the constant looking for another job. um, there's and believing in yourself and believing that you are enough, and that you have what it takes, and trusting your imagination to carry you forward. And maybe now's the time. I don't know. Shout out Ellie Ray. I'm also a student of Ellie's, who helped empower me in this voice
She was my
career.
teacher.
Yeah, it's it takes a lot of confidence and courage every time to put yourself out there and try something new that might feel like, oh, is this going to be embarrassing or something, but not taking yourself too seriously. Just be like, it's okay. It's okay to try things. And as an actor, you face a lot of rejection, and failure or whatever. Like, you don't get a lot of the parts you audition for, and you kind of have to not let that bring you down. And then because then you get times like this where it's just like celebrating, and you get to feel really good. So yeah, I don't know if that really answered the question, but it's like a lot of ups and downs. It's a ride.
That absolutely answered the question, and all of those hurdles
And it's
that
like
you've
that
overcome
rejection does not define you. That's the other thing, right? Exactly what Vicky has said. Like, life is full of rejections, but especially in artists, you're self creating all the time. So it's all based on you. It's not like you're working, you've got to give you. So when you say no, you don't have the job, or you didn't get that job, or it's been you get three callbacks and you think, oh, what did I do wrong? Well, you don't do anything wrong. You're great. You wouldn't be here if you weren't great. You wouldn't be here if you're not great. Rejection is just a part of it. And if you can find the lesson in that rejection, for most artists, and I think for most people, if you don't get a job or you don't get something that you want, and it doesn't mean that that's forever. You're going to get something else eventually. And we're all testament to the fact that it'll happen, right? It's going to eventually happen, which is great.
That slides quite nicely into another question, which is how do you all find and keep motivation for what you do? I guess especially during those particularly difficult times.
Drugs. No, I don't do drugs.
Thank you, everyone.